Hey everybody, so this is going to be a news of the day video. It's probably a little late, but some of the news came out, well, I only found out about it late yesterday, and there wasn't much happening because of everything going on in the world. There wasn't very much hockey news happening, so I had birthdays and I just didn't want to do a video on birthdays. Okay, this is a little bit of a somber video because I'm going to actually address the stuff that's going on in the world for the first time. Kind of been avoiding it, but I don't think we're going to avoid it anymore. And yeah, we're going to do that at the end of the video. And we'll just get to the items. We've got some birthdays. There is some news from the NHL about the playoffs if they should happen. They've decided on a few things, and we'll get right to that. So, happy birthday. A little bit belated now because these are from June 2nd. I'm recording this on the 5th. And so it's happy birthday to Larry Robinson, which I did a video. It's out there if you're interested. Larry Robinson, he turned 69. Great hockey player, and that's kind of the reason I did the video on that day. I wanted it to come out on his birthday. It came out the day after, but it was for that. Russ Courtnall. Russ Courtnall, the great, the women love Russ Courtnall. He was handsome, he had the hair, and he was a good hockey player. And he turned 55 on June 2nd. Chris Higgins, more recent turned 37. Higgins, a guy who it turns out now, I saw this as a quote from somebody, that Higgins, probably that trade with Scott Gomez should have been kind of straight up Chris Higgins for Scott Gomez in the long run, but he turned 37. Decent hockey player. Not a first liner, maybe not even really a second liner totally, but a good third line player for sure in my eyes. Jake Evans, current Hab, turned 24 on the 2nd. So Jake Evans is 24. I thought he was a little younger than that. So unless that is wrong, I got that from a decent source too. A good source actually. And so I don't know if the number was wrong, but I thought he was younger than that, but he says he's 24. Okay, so the NHL returned to play. Phase 2 will begin on Monday. I'm recording this on Friday, so the weekend is coming up, and then on Monday, that means that teams are, they can open training facilities, but it's on a voluntary basis, which means that if the team isn't ready to open up, they don't have to open up right away. So you might not see a lot of teams opening up their facilities on Monday, but as the week progresses, I would think you're going to see at least some teams opening up facilities. It's a totally voluntary, on a totally voluntary basis for teams and for players. Players do not have to come to the team because they'll be opening up their facilities in their hometown, in the team's hometowns. Like Brendan Gallagher said, he's going to be staying home and doing his training through Phase 1 because there's no need for him to travel. He has everything he needs at home to get ready for phase 3. Yeah, say that a bunch of times. If Phase 3 happens, that's starting on Monday. This is the news from yesterday. The NHL put out a statement announcing that for the qualifying round, it will be a best of 5. They're not changing that. Round 1 through 4, I know I didn't have to really write it the way I did on the board, but best of 7. So the first 2 rounds will not be best of 5s like was speculated, but best of 7. So they want to keep the integrity of the playoffs, that's what they said, and not change the number of games for the series. And I think that's good. I don't mind that at all. I think once the teams have made it past the qualifying round, I think best of 7. Can't argue about that. There doesn't need to be maybe an asterisk. And I saw a quote somewhere that made sense to me more than people saying there should be an asterisk because of the team that wins maybe shouldn't have won. It should be an asterisk if there's going to be one. It's because maybe it was the hardest playoffs to win the cup through for any team. Like, think about it. If a qualifying round team wins the cup, they have to play the extra series, and they decided against brackets, so no brackets. And that makes it harder for the qualifying round teams because they're reseeding every round, which means going like this. First round is going to be through the conferences. So 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. They do the same thing for the quarterfinals, but now it's not by conference, right? So now you're going to have some different matchups that are going to be kind of interesting, things you might not have seen or you wouldn't have seen if they went by the brackets, for sure. And then obviously for the semis, it's 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and then you got the cup finals. So it kind of opens up everything. Also, and I still am not 100% sure this is decided, but there will be a mini round robin tournament for each conference's teams that have the byes. I think what's not still decided, at least for me, I haven't really seen anything that says to me that it's confirmed, is if it will affect the seeding. I think it is that way, and yeah, so that's gonna lead to a lot of interesting matchups that we wouldn't have thought that we'd see, and that could be very exciting and make this playoffs really special. Along with the fact that it's going to be one of the most unique playoffs, or if not the most unique playoffs ever in your history. Playoffs could take 68 days to complete all rounds, so that's the quarters, the preliminaries, I should say qualifying round, preliminaries, quarters, semis, and the finals. That should take about 68 days, and I think that's if all the series go 7 games and the full 5 games. So if you have at least one, anyway, series going 7 games, because with brackets, just in case I'm going to be ready in case she wants to talk. If you have brackets, you know what you're going to play. You know who you're going to play if you win, right? That's how brackets work. With this, they don't know the matchups until the series are all done, and that means all done. So you can't really, it's not great for the reporters, it's not great for the advertisers, apparently they don't like that as much. But it makes it more interesting. It makes it harder for teams to actually win because you only find out maybe a couple days before you play a team that that's who you're playing. You can't gear up for them in advance because the bracket, you know. So it's kind of more interesting. I kind of like it because we'll have different matchups than we're normally seeing. And yeah, it makes sometimes we see the same matchups every year, and this will really change things up, I think. Okay, now what I talked about in the beginning, my promise against racism, how I changed my views growing up, and just say I can't breathe. That's what George Floyd said. Everybody is saying that to honor him. Obviously, since this happened, I'm an American, born there. Lived here my whole life. My parents are Canadian, so I'm dual citizen. But I've grown up in Canada, so my head set, the way I think is Canadian, it's without a doubt. But I'm American. I have family down there, so I have, they say, some skin in the game, as the saying is. So I follow things like this, and it bothers me. But today, I've been avoiding it. I didn't write anything down. I've been thinking about what I'm going to say. I have nothing prepared. I'm not going to read a prepared statement. So this is off the top of my head. I feel guilty. That's probably why I've been avoiding it. As a white person with white privilege, yes, I've never been. Well, I'm going to talk about that. I grew up around racism. Okay, so I grew up around racism. It was the norm. As a kid growing up, that's what you see. You don't know that's any different. I always thought there was something wrong with it, but I mean, I partook in it when I was young. And then I went out and I started to work. I did not go to college, so it's not that, but I went out to work. And when you go out to work, you meet a lot of different people. I was no blue collar, no white collar job. I mean, I went out and worked with like I just a job. And you meet people. I remember the first time I was in an elevator with a black person. I was 18, and honestly, to say I was afraid because I didn't. He was a guy that worked at the same company I was working for, a courier company, and I didn't really know him, but I knew that he worked there. And I was afraid. I didn't want to be, but I mean, deep down, I mean, I was. We got out of the elevator. We both go into the office and whatever. And at some point, we started to talk to each other, and I think we both went out again down the elevator. By that time, I wasn't as afraid because we were talking to each other. I don't know if I had ever really talked to many black people in my life that I didn't pay that any thought. And you quickly realize, like, this guy is he's like me. There's no difference. What's all the fuss about? And I, being a Jewish person, who never really had a lot of prejudice against me because of it, I have to say, I can't really say I had. But I grew up hearing all the stories, knowing about the Holocaust, all that stuff. I thought, like, I'm no different than this guy. People don't like me, some people, because I'm Jewish. They don't like him because of the color of his skin. It's not much difference. Why would I hate somebody else who's being prejudiced against by other people? I'm so right term to how to say it, but like, why? I mean, we got more in common than we have that I should be not liking him, right? And as I dealt with more people, yeah, that's how my mindset's always been since then. Is that well, what have I got against this guy? We're kind of brothers in arms. So I was proud of myself when my ex-wife and I, we have 3 boys. My oldest is almost 30. So, but what I'm proud of is that we had decided that we won't let them, not that we won't let them see racism if it happens, but we're not going to be that way around them at all, ever. And they had, different kinds of friends, different nationalities, different colors, all through their lives. And I think I know my oldest, his best friend is Iranian. My but at one couple points in his life, he had different nationalities. He always kind of sent had friends like that always. And I once asked him if he ever noticed anything different between him and his friends, and no, the answer was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was so proud of my son. I'm proud of myself that we never put this on our kids. All 3 of my kids have no racist thoughts in their heads, no racist ideologies, and I'm very proud about that. But I'm still guilty because if you asked me, and I saw this in the video, if you asked a group of white people, would they trade places at any point with any black people, even for a day? Would you trade places? And put up your hand. Nobody put up their hand. And she said, because so that makes you kind of, you're kind of guilty, just like anybody else, in that you acknowledge that you wouldn't want to be in their shoes. There's a reason why every single one of you didn't raise your hand, because you know that there's something wrong, and we allow it, and we haven't done anything about it. Well, that's the guilt, and that's why I can't help but feeling guilty on this topic. That's why I didn't really want to talk about it, but I don't think I can avoid it anymore. So I stand with the people, not the looting. At first, I kind of was like, burn it all down, burn it all down. But I realized the people that are doing that are not the right people. The people of color, the people, Jews, the Muslims, they're not the ones looting and rioting. It's the people trying to start trouble for them. I don't stand with those people. I don't at all. I was misguided when it first started to happen. And I'm really glad that I didn't come out and talk about it, because I would have been way wrong. Because you see now what's going on. You see what's going on. And the people that we need to stand behind, they're the ones that are being peaceful. They're having the worst things done to them, and they're being peaceful. And we can learn a lesson from that and change the way we think about things. I don't know. When this started to happen, I knew this was something different. This was not going to be the same. I don't think this is one of those, this happens for a week or 2 and then it goes away and things go back to normal. I don't see how it can go back to normal anymore. I don't see. We have to have some form of change. It has to happen, and we have to have a different mindset. We have to just sort of reset our minds on how we think about people who don't look the way we look. Judge a person by his personality, by the things he does, not by what he looks like or she looks like. Not, or even if it's a he or a she. Judge a person for the quality of themselves. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know. I really don't know. But like I said, I grew up around racism. It was all around. On TV, you wouldn't believe, like you younger people, you wouldn't believe. I mean, you can go, it's not you have to believe, you can go and check out shows that were from the 70s. I was born in '63, so I wasn't sort of active in anything up until the 70s, really, when I was more aware of things. But look at the TV shows and the subjects and how it treated black people or people, Mexicans or Spanish people like that, how it treated them. You couldn't do that today on TV. You couldn't. And it was just the norm, and I grew up with that. So I'm proud of myself for the fact that I didn't allow that to be who I was. Even though, yeah, when I was young, sure, I was guilty of that. You know, that's what I'm guilty of. That's how I feel guilty today about what's going on. But that's not who I am today. I've learned, I've changed, and that's never who I'll ever be, ever again. Because it's a ridiculous way of thinking. It's a wrong way of thinking. And it leads to destruction. I mean, look at what's going on. It just leads to this. This is something that's been building up, and it was going to happen at some point, and I don't think we go backward from this. I really don't. But for me, I'm on the side of the protesters and the people that are different. I'm an atheist, but I'm a Jew. So even though I'm an atheist, people don't look at me like that, and they think about along these lines. So I've been prejudiced against. I know what it's like. Not to the extent of, I never say that because I've been lucky as hell. But I do have an idea of what it's like. I have an understanding, have family that was in the Holocaust. I mean, I lost family. A couple of family members were lost in the camps. And I have that in my history, you know. It touches closer to home than most people, but I was so far removed from it that it's not, but you believe it. I mean, it's not like I ever doubted it or anything like that. So I can sympathize, but I don't fully understand what they go through. None of us will unless you are a person of color or a very visible minority. I'm not. I can sneak through. Most people I know in my life never knew I was Jewish, so it's never really been a big problem for me. But you can't when you're different, visibly different from people. Okay, so I don't know what else to say on this subject, but that's what I have to say. Anybody who was wondering, because I haven't really tackled it, I know I've said that I'm going to tackle it, or that you know how I feel. No, but anyway, this is how it goes. I don't know when this is all going to stop. I don't. I hope it doesn't for a long time until things change. So we have all this stuff with the pandemic, and then now we have all this where societies need to change, and this is going on all over the world. All over the world. This is not just North America, and that's where the big difference is. This is going on to the same extent as it is here, all over the world. They may be a little less violent there, but it's crazy. It's time for a change. Okay, I'm going to end this. I don't know how to ask if if you like the video or not. I'm not going to advertise this part of the video with the title and all that. But this is what I wanted to talk about. Is one of the things. So if you like the video in any way, if it moved you, if it didn't, whatever the reason, give it a thumbs up. If not, that's fine. On this video, I get it. And any comments you may have about anything, please in the comment section. Any comments you may have. Yeah, thanks for watching. Please be safe out there, especially in the States and all over the world with everything going on for both the pandemic and for the protests going on. Please, everybody, be safe. And I don't know what else to say. Peace out, and I'll see you next video. Thank you for watching.